Let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt truly at home inside your own life? Not just busy, not just productive, not just doing what you're supposed to do, but really aligned where your choices matched your heart. Your yes felt like yes, your no felt like no, and there was a quiet sense of, this is right for me. People come to me and say, Louise, I feel so lost. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I want. And I often say to them, very gently, you're not really lost in the world, darling. You're just a little lost from yourself. You haven't abandoned life. You've abandoned your own inner voice. You've been chasing deadlines, chasing approval, chasing goals, and somewhere along the way, you stopped chasing you. I want to talk with you about what I call pursuing yourself. It sounds strange at first, doesn't it? We're so used to pursuing success, pursuing love, pursuing money, pursuing a better body or a better image. But what would it mean to pursue you? To make a decision, perhaps for the first time, that your primary commitment is to your own inner truth. Pursue yourself does not mean becoming selfish. It means becoming honest. It means you stop abandoning your heart just to fit in, and you start treating your inner world as the most important relationship you have. Instead of asking, what do they want from me? You learn to ask, what is true for me? Instead of asking, how do I make everyone happy? You ask, what choice lets me sleep peacefully tonight? You begin to follow your core values, not the passing moods of the crowd. You begin to prioritize that quiet sense of inner rightness, that deep exhale of yes, this is me, rather than the loud noise of external pressure. When you pursue yourself, you are choosing to follow three treasures: your core values, your felt sense of living true, and your inner peace. Your values are the qualities that actually matter to you: kindness, honesty, growth, creativity, freedom, contribution, whatever is real in your bones. Living true is that feeling in your body when your actions match those values, even if nobody else sees or applauds it. And inner peace is the absence of that constant inner argument, the soft feeling of, I am not betraying myself today. Clarity is the result of honesty. When you stop lying to yourself about what you want, what you need, what hurts, and what lights you up, things begin to come into focus. The confusion in your mind is often just the echo of all the times you've said yes when you meant no, stayed when you wanted to leave, pretended when you wanted to be real. When you start pursuing you, the fog begins to lift. This journey usually unfolds in three simple, profound stages. The first is awareness, that moment when you wake up and realize, wait, whose life am I actually living? You might look at your schedule and see your entire day is filled with other people's priorities. You might look at your career and realize you chose it to please your parents or to look successful on the outside, not because it lights you up on the inside. You might notice that your relationships are built on performing a role, not being who you really are. Awareness can be uncomfortable. It can feel like standing in front of a mirror in bright light. But remember, my dear, seeing the truth is not a failure. It is a beginning. You cannot align with yourself if you don't first see where you've drifted away. If you dare to ask the question, whose expectations am I living by? You might realize how many invisible rules you've been carrying. Good daughters do this. Good men don't feel that. People like me can't have that. I mustn't disappoint them. These beliefs become like strings pulling you away from your own center. Pursuing yourself starts with noticing those strings. You don't have to cut them all at once. You just need to see them and whisper, "Oh, that's why I feel so tight inside. It's only a thought, and a thought can be changed. I must do what they want can become, I am allowed to consider what I want too." That small shift is the first step of coming home. The second stage is what I call separating, gently stepping back from what no longer fits. This is where many people panic because they imagine that being true to myself means burning everything down overnight. It doesn't. You do not have to quit every job, leave every relationship, and move to another continent by Tuesday. Separation can begin inside, quietly. It might look like this. You stop agreeing with thoughts that criticize you. You stop automatically saying yes when your whole body says no. You stop forcing yourself to go places that drain you just to avoid upsetting someone. You begin to experiment with the radical idea, my needs and feelings matter too. Maybe you realize a certain friendship is built on you always rescuing, always listening, never being listened to. Separating might mean you don't answer every late-night call. Maybe you see that your work environment is misaligned with your values. Separating might mean updating your resume, exploring possibilities, daring to imagine a different future. It could be as simple as putting down your phone for 20 minutes in the morning and asking yourself, how do I feel today? Instead of checking how everyone else feels first. You are not rejecting the world. You are slowly unhooking from what forces you to reject yourself. Yes, it can feel scary. Yes, you might disappoint some people who like the old, pleasing version of you. But remember, every time you stop betraying yourself, you become clearer, stronger, and more alive. Then comes the third stage, choosing again. This is where the beauty begins to bloom. Pursuing yourself is not just about walking away from what doesn't fit. It's about walking toward what does. Instead of living from old programming, you start to ask a very powerful daily question. If I were honoring my values and my inner peace today, what is one small choice I would make? Not 10 choices, not the rest of your life, just one. If you value health, maybe the new choice is to drink water and stretch instead of skipping breakfast. If you value creativity, maybe the new choice is to write for 10 minutes before you open social media. If you value honesty, maybe the new choice is to say, actually, I'm tired. Can we reschedule? Instead of forcing yourself to go. These small choices are not trivial. They are evidence to your own heart that you are finally chasing you. Each time you align your action with your truth, even in a tiny way, your inner compass becomes a little clearer. The noise of everyone else's demands quiets down, and you begin to hear your own direction. You'll notice that some things that used to excite you were never really yours. They were borrowed dreams. And you'll notice that some desires, perhaps ones you pushed away as impossible or selfish, start to glow brighter when you give them your attention. This is not ego. This is life in you wanting to express itself through you. I like to think of your inner truth as a compass. Over the years, that compass may have been pulled off by other people's magnets, cultural expectations, family patterns, fear of rejection. The needle still works, but it's been tugged in strange directions. When you pursue yourself, you are not throwing the compass away. You are simply taking the magnets off, one by one. You are adjusting, tapping, listening. At first, it may swing wildly. Do I want this? Do I want that? That's okay. Be patient. With each honest no to what drains you, and each honest yes to what brings you peace, the needle settles a little more. You discover that clarity doesn't come from running faster in circles. It comes from standing still inside yourself long enough to hear your own guidance. This whole process, recognizing whose life you've been living, separating from what no longer aligns, and choosing again from your authentic self, is what it means to pursue yourself. And here is the beautiful paradox. When you stop chasing every external thing and start chasing alignment with your own soul, life itself begins to feel more supportive. The right people feel easier to be around. The right work feels more natural. The right opportunities feel more obvious. You haven't magically made the world perfect. You've simply stopped betraying your inner map. And when your inner map and your outer steps match, confusion fades. Sweetheart, you are not behind. You are not late. You are not the only one who realizes they've been living for everyone else and wondering why they feel empty. You are the only thinker in your mind, and you can begin today to think thoughts that lead you back to you. You can start with one gentle question. Where have I been ignoring myself? And then, with kindness, you can take one small step to listen instead. The day you decide to pursue yourself, to treat your inner truth as worthy of your time, your attention, your choices, is the day life begins to make sense in a new way. You are not really lost. You are on your way back home to yourself. And as you come home, step by step, you will see that clarity was never out there waiting at the end of some race. Clarity was always inside you, waiting for you to turn around and say, I'm coming for you now. I won't leave you again. Life loves you. Your inner wisdom loves you. And as you pursue your own heart with honesty and tenderness, everything that truly belongs to you will meet you on that path. This is very interesting, isn't it, my dear? The way our minds keep searching for the path that is not hard, as if somewhere out there is a version of life where we never have to stretch, never have to choose, never feel discomfort. So many of us wait for clarity this way. When it's easy, then I'll know it's right. But life doesn't really work like that. Life will always ask something of you. Self-neglect is hard. Self-respect is hard. Being stuck is hard. Growing is hard. The truth is not that life is either hard or easy. The deeper truth is, you don't get to choose whether it's hard. You only get to choose which hard belongs to you. Think about it for a moment. Eating in a way that honors your body can be hard. It takes planning, awareness, saying no to certain habits. But living in a body that feels tired, inflamed, or sick is also hard. Sitting down to read and learn when your mind wants distraction can feel hard. You may have to face the discomfort of not knowing, of feeling behind, of disciplining your attention. But moving through the world feeling uninformed, always doubting your own understanding, constantly outsourcing your judgment to others, that is another kind of hardness. Starting a new project, changing careers, or shifting directions can feel hard. There's uncertainty, there's fear of failure, there's the awkwardness of being a beginner again. And yet, staying in a situation that slowly drains your soul, where Sunday nights fill you with dread and Monday mornings feel like betrayal that is its own heavy daily hard. I don't say this to frighten you, but to empower you. When you see that hard is part of every road, You stop asking, "Is this hard?" as if that were a sign that you're on the wrong path. Instead, you begin to ask a much wiser question. Is this hard meaningful to me? Is this a hard that grows me or a hard that shrinks me? That is the philosophy of choose your hard. It invites you to step out of the fantasy that there is a comfortable, consequence-free option and into the reality that every choice has a cost and a gift. You may not be able to avoid paying, but you are powerful enough to choose what you are paying for. I'd like you to reflect gently for a moment. Where in your life have you been saying no to a growthful hard only to be living in a painful hard anyway? Perhaps you avoid honest conversations because you're afraid they will be uncomfortable. That is a kind of hard. But the price you pay is the chronic hardness of walking on eggshells, of never feeling seen, of silently resenting. Perhaps you avoid taking care of your finances because it feels complicated, and confronting that is a kind of hard. But the price is the ongoing stress of uncertainty, of being surprised by every bill, of feeling powerless. When you say, "I don't want that hard," you don't magically get ease. You usually get a different hard, one that often takes you further away from yourself. So instead of judging yourself for not being brave enough, I want to invite you into a simple, compassionate exercise. You might like to do this in your journal or just in your mind as we speak. Draw 2 imaginary columns. At the top of the first, write, "Hard that makes me bigger." At the top of the second, write, "Hard that makes me smaller." Now, think of your current challenges and start sorting them. Hard that makes me bigger could include things like having a truthful conversation you've been avoiding, going to therapy, saying no to an extra commitment so you can rest, waking up a bit earlier to create something of your own, choosing to forgive someone even when resentment feels familiar, learning a new skill, moving your body even when the couch calls. These are not comfortable. They ask something of you. They might trigger fear, vulnerability, or awkwardness. But underneath the discomfort, there is a sense of alignment. This is hard, but it's right for me. This stretches me toward the person I want to be. Hard that makes me smaller looks different. It's the hardness of constantly saying yes when you mean no. The hardness of staying silent while your inner voice screams. The hardness of sleeping badly because you scroll your fear away instead of meeting it. The hardness of criticizing yourself day after day. The hardness of staying in environments that feed your self-doubt. These hards are familiar, even easier in the short term, because they avoid confrontation or change. But they slowly eat away at your life force. They are hard in a way that bends you inward, makes you brittle, dims your light. Take a breath and be very kind with yourself as you notice what's in each column. You are not doing this to judge yourself. You are doing this to see clearly. Awareness is the first step to freedom. You are not bad for choosing the smaller hard in the past. You were just trying to survive with the tools you had. Today, you're learning that you can choose differently. So from that first column, hard that makes me bigger, I invite you to pick just one action for this week, not 10, not a whole personality overhaul, just one. Maybe it's making that doctor's appointment. Maybe it's writing the first page of a business idea. Maybe it's sitting down with your budget for 20 minutes. Maybe it's saying to someone, "Actually, I need some time for myself tonight." Whatever it is, ask yourself, does this hard move me closer to myself? Does it create more respect for me in my own eyes? Does it align with my values? If the answer is yes, then my darling, it is a worthy hard. You are not choosing pain for pain's sake. You are choosing growth instead of slow erosion. This is how you begin to pursue yourself in a practical way. You don't just dream about being aligned. You act in ways that prove to your own heart, I choose you. I choose your future. I choose your peace. Now, I want to say something very important, because our minds love to twist these ideas into new ways to punish us. Choose your hard is not an invitation to martyrdom. It's not about grinding yourself into the ground or glorifying misery. It is not, if it hurts, it must be good for me. That's just another old wound speaking. Choosing a meaningful hard is not self-harm. It is self-respect. It is a practice of soft discipline, steady, caring, and sustainable. It has edges, yes, but those edges are there to hold you, not to whip you. Soft discipline sounds like this. I will show up for myself regularly, and I will also rest. I will take small, consistent steps, and I will not call myself names when I stumble. I will stretch beyond my comfort, and I will also listen when my body says, enough for today. There is a huge difference between move your body because you're disgusting and you have to fix yourself, and move your body because you are worthy of feeling strong and alive. There is a world of difference between work harder because you're lazy and let's focus for an hour because your dreams matter. The action might look similar from the outside, but the energy is completely different. One is fueled by shame, the other is fueled by love. I want you to hear this very clearly. You don't need to choose the hard of perfection. You only need to choose the hard of showing up for yourself again and again. Perfection is a punishing hard. It says, if you can't do it all, don't do anything. It waits for the perfect mood, the perfect moment, the perfect version of you. And while it waits, your life quietly passes by. Soft discipline says, let's start where we are, with what we have, and adjust along the way. It's okay if your hard today is simply getting out of bed and taking a shower. It's okay if your hard this week is sending one honest message. It's okay if your hard is saying, I need help. These are sacred acts when you do them in alignment with who you are becoming. You might even create a gentle mantra for yourself. I don't need to choose the hardest hard. I choose the hard that honors me. You don't need to run marathons if your body needs rest. You don't need to quit your job overnight if what you need first is a plan. You don't need to confess your whole life story on the internet if what you truly need is one safe person to be real with. Choosing your hard is not about performing heroics. It's about aligning your efforts with your values. It's about ensuring that your daily struggles are in service of your healing, not your self-betrayal. So, as you move through this week, I invite you to carry two questions in your heart. Is this hard making me bigger or smaller? What is one small, growthful hard I can choose today from a place of love? Sit quietly for a moment and ask your inner wisdom. You might be surprised at how clear it is once you stop asking, is this easy? And start asking, is this true? Clarity does not always feel comfortable, but it does feel clean. It feels honest. It feels like, yes, this is my road, even if it has hills. In the infinity of life where you are, you have the power to select your path, one choice at a time. You can choose the familiar hard of abandoning yourself, or you can choose the new hard of standing beside yourself. One keeps you stuck, the other slowly sets you free. And remember, you don't walk this path alone. Every time you choose a hard that honors your soul, life rises up to meet you in ways you cannot yet see. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be fearless. You only have to be willing to say, "Today I choose a hard that grows me. Today I choose me." Let me share something with you from my heart. So many beautiful souls tell me, "I don't know what I want. I don't know what my inner voice is saying. I can't hear my intuition." And I look at their lives and I think, of course you can't hear it right now, sweetheart. Not because it isn't there, but because there is so much noise piled on top of it. Your inner voice has not disappeared. It has not abandoned you. It is not broken. It is simply buried under layers and layers of other people's opinions, other people's expectations, and your own fears about being wrong or too much. The truth never really leaves you, but it can get drowned out by the volume of everything else. Look at the world you wake up into every day. Before you've even taken 3 conscious breaths, your phone may already be in your hand. Social media is scrolling by, showing you highlight reels and opinions and advice from hundreds of people you've never met. Without realizing it, you compare your path to theirs. They are further ahead. They are more successful. They seem to know exactly what they're doing. And each comparison adds another layer of doubt over your own inner guidance. Then you might hear the voices of family, spoken or unspoken. "People in this family don't do that. That's not stable. That's not respectable. You'll embarrass us." These beliefs sit in your body as tension, as guilt, as fear of disappointing those you love. On top of that, there is the very human fear of losing face. What if I try and fail? What if I change my mind and they laugh at me? What if I'm not as good as I hoped? Can you feel how loud all of that is? Scrolling, comparing, pleasing, protecting, proving, and in the middle of this storm is a very quiet, very steady voice that doesn't shout, doesn't beg, doesn't scare you. It simply waits, it whispers, it nudges. Clarity needs space. Truth needs silence. Your inner voice needs room to be heard. When every spare minute is filled with input, it is not that you lack intuition. It is that you have not given it a chance to speak. So before we talk about finding your purpose, we simply begin with this. Can you give yourself a little less noise and a little more room? Now, I want to help you distinguish something that confuses almost everyone at first: the difference between intuition and fear. Both speak inside you. Both create sensations in your body. Both influence your choices. If you cannot tell them apart, you will either ignore your inner wisdom because you think it's just anxiety, or you will follow your fear because it feels so loud and urgent that you mistake it for a warning from the universe. So let's slow down and really feel the difference. Your intuition, your inner guidance, your heart's knowing tends to arrive quietly. It is calm, even when it is asking you to change something big. It is simple, even when it is pointing you towards something unknown. It doesn't explain itself endlessly. It doesn't rush. It doesn't threaten you. It just says things like, "This doesn't feel right for me anymore. I feel peaceful when I imagine that option. I don't know exactly why, but this calls to me." Intuition feels like a gentle clarity. There is a softness to it, even when it's firm. Fear, on the other hand, has a very different flavor. Fear is loud, urgent, dramatic. It races, it spins, it needs guarantees. It keeps saying, what if, what if, what if? It wants absolute certainty. Before I move, I must know for sure that I will not be hurt, that no one will judge me, that I will never fail. Fear goes around in circles, offering the same scary image again and again, as if repetition could make it more true. It might sound like, if you do that, everything will fall apart. If you say that, they will leave. If you change now, you will regret it forever. It doesn't leave you feeling grounded. It leaves you feeling contracted, tight, anxious. Fear feels like closing. Intuition feels like opening. Here is one simple question that you can carry with you whenever you're not sure. Does this thought make me expand or contract? When you think about a certain decision, do you feel a tiny bit more space in your chest, even if you're scared? Do you feel yourself breathe a little deeper, stand a little taller, sense a quiet rightness inside? That is usually intuition. Or do you feel your stomach clench, your shoulders rise, your jaw grip, your breath shorten? Do you feel smaller, more stuck, more panicked? That is usually fear. Intuition might say, this is the next step, even if you don't know the whole staircase. Fear says, don't move until you have a map of the rest of your life. Intuition will often repeat a message over time in a consistent way. You are done here. You need rest. You long for more creativity. Fear will jump from one concern to another, always changing the story, but keeping the same underlying dread. Another way to tell them apart is this. Intuition is not in a hurry. It doesn't scream now or never. It trusts timing. It trusts that you will hear it again later because it is part of you. Fear, on the other hand, is impatient. It wants relief this second. It says, decide now, fix this now, answer now. It doesn't care about alignment. It cares about escaping discomfort. So the next time a thought rises and you're not sure whether to trust it, take a breath and ask, is this voice trying to guide me or is it trying to scare me? And then ask our magic question, does this thought make me open or does it make me close? Opening doesn't mean all the fear vanishes. It means that beneath the fear, there is a sense of, this is me. Closing means you shrink away from yourself to avoid risk. Of course, you won't always get this perfect. That's all right. You are teachable. You can learn. You are willing to learn. With practice, you will begin to recognize the tone of your own heart. It's like learning the sound of a friend's voice in a crowded room. At first, everything is just noise. Over time, you can pick them out instantly. Your intuition is like that friend. The more often you pause, listen, and honor it, even in tiny ways, the clearer it becomes. Now, I'd love to give you a very simple 5-minute ritual to help you come back to yourself in the middle of all the noise. You don't need a special room, special clothes, or special crystals. You just need a few minutes and a willingness to be with you. Let's call it the 5-minute return practice. You can do this in the morning, during a lunch break, or before bed. You can even do a shortened version in the bathroom at work if you need to. This is about creating space for clarity. Step 1. Breathe for 10 rounds. Close your eyes if that feels safe. Let your hands rest softly, maybe one on your heart, one on your belly. Inhale gently through your nose. and exhale slowly through your mouth. Count each breath, 1 in, 1 out, 2 in, 2 out, all the way to 10. You're not trying to breathe perfectly. You're just letting your nervous system know we are safe enough to slow down. Each exhale is a tiny surrender. I let go of everyone else's voice for a moment. I let my body soften. I am here with me. Step 2, place your awareness on the hand over your heart. Feel the rise and fall of your chest. Perhaps you can feel the faint beating inside. Sense the warmth of your own touch. You might quietly say, "I'm here." Then ask this question very simply: what is true for me right now? Not what will be true forever. Not what decision must I make for the rest of my life. Just what is true for me at this moment. Maybe the truth is, I am tired. Maybe it is, I'm excited about this idea. Maybe it is, I feel resentful about that conversation. Maybe it is, I need rest, not more pushing. You're not fixing it yet. You're just letting the truth surface. Your heart breathes easier when you let it say what is real. Step 3, ask, what is the smallest step that feels right for me? Not the grand plan, not the 1-0-year strategy, just the next tiny step that aligns with what you just heard. If your truth was, I'm exhausted, the smallest step might be, tonight I will go to bed 30 minutes earlier, or I will say no to that extra task. If your truth was, this job is killing my spirit, the smallest step might be, I'll update my resume, or I'll research one new field, or I'll schedule a conversation with someone in a different line of work. If your truth was, I miss my creativity, the smallest step might be, I will write for 10 minutes, or I will buy a cheap sketchbook. The point is not to solve everything. The point is to act in harmony with one piece of truth. Your inner voice becomes clearer when you show it you're willing to respond, even in tiny ways. Step 4, ask one more question. What can I release today to feel lighter? You might notice a thought you've been carrying. I must be perfect. I have to do everything alone. I'm failing because I'm not further along. You might notice a commitment that no longer aligns. A habit of checking your phone first thing. A pattern of saying yes out of guilt. Choose one thing, just one, to loosen your grip on. It could be as simple as, today, I release the need to respond instantly to every message. Or, today, I release the story that I have to have all the answers. Or, today, I will not compare my journey to anyone else's on social media. You can even turn it into a little affirmation. I choose to let go of. I choose to feel a little lighter. This whole process can take 5 minutes, 10 if you want to linger. It is not about doing it perfectly. It is about making a habit of coming back to you. Breathe, feel your body, ask what is true. Ask for the smallest right step. Ask what you can gently put down. That's it, simple but powerful. When you repeat this day after day, you are training your mind and your body to recognize that your inner voice matters. You are telling yourself, I will not ignore you anymore. I will not abandon you for the crowd. I will make time to listen. Sweetheart, you don't have to go on a grand pilgrimage to find your inner voice. You don't have to be perfect or pure or endlessly calm. You simply need small pockets of honesty and silence. You need to distinguish between the voice that shrinks you and the voice that invites you to open. Your intuition is not hiding, it is waiting. It has always been here, beneath the noise, beneath the fear, beneath the old stories. Every time you pause, breathe, place your hand on your heart and ask, what is real for me right now? You are turning toward yourself. Every time you take one tiny step that aligns with that answer, you are proving to your own soul that you are worth following. And every time you let go of one little weight, one expectation, one comparison, one harsh belief, your path becomes a bit clearer. Remember this: clarity is not a lightning bolt that strikes you from the sky. Clarity is a relationship you build with yourself over many gentle moments. You are not far from it. You are one breath, one honest answer, one small aligned step away. Life loves you. Your inner wisdom loves you. And as you learn to listen, really listen, you will find that the day you start pursuing your own truth is the day everything else begins to make sense. Sweetheart, there is something very important I want you to understand. Life is always listening to you, but it is not listening to your wish list. It is listening to the beliefs you hold underneath. You can write beautiful goals in a journal, repeat affirmations, make vision boards, and still feel like you are walking into the same kind of experience over and over. That does not mean you are cursed. It does not mean the universe is ignoring you. It often means this: somewhere deep inside, there is a belief that is stronger than your words, and life is simply echoing that belief back to you so you can finally see it and choose again. Think of your beliefs as instructions that you are continually sending out. If at the core you hold the thought, life is hard, people are dangerous, I am not enough, then your mind and your nervous system will scan the world looking for evidence to support those instructions. You will notice the door that closed, not the door that opened. You will feel every slight, every criticism, every difficulty as confirmation. See, I was right. Life is hard. And because you expect hardness, you walk more tensely, you trust less, you try fewer things, you stay smaller than you really are. Then the results of those choices come back and whisper, yes, life is hard, and the loop continues. Life is not punishing you. It is mirroring what you keep saying about it. Now imagine that, slowly, gently, you begin to hold a different inner sentence. I am worthy of good things. There are possibilities around me. Some people can be kind. Some paths can be right for me. I am willing to see them. Do you hear the difference? It's not a loud, fake, everything is perfect that your body cannot believe. It is a humble but powerful shift in the lens you're using. When you walk through your day with that belief, your eyes start to look for cracks of light instead of only walls. You begin to notice the opportunity to learn, the small compliment, the open invitation, the job posting, the supportive friend. Because you expect that some good can come, you are more likely to say yes, to step forward, to speak up, to apply, to try again. And those actions also come back to you as results. Maybe not instantly, but steadily. Life tends to confirm not what you wish in passing, but what you believe consistently. This is why you can want love and still keep choosing people who are unavailable. Deep down, the belief might be, I don't deserve to be chosen, or love always leaves. This is why you can want abundance and still sabotage your finances. Somewhere inside, the belief might be, there's never enough for me, or if I have money, people will use me or I'm bad with money. Life hears those beliefs not as casual thoughts, but as ongoing instructions. Your mind filters your experiences through them. Your actions line up with them. And then the universe, like a patient teacher, says, "All right, we will repeat this lesson until you decide you are ready to think something new." Remember one of my favorite lines, "It's only a thought, and a thought can be changed." So if we want clarity, if we want a new experience, we don't just chase more motivation. We go gently, lovingly to the roots. What do I really believe? What am I telling life to confirm for me? There are many beliefs we carry, but 3 of them are like pillars holding up the rest. If you don't look at these 3, you can spend years working on the surface and wonder why nothing really shifts. Today, I want us to check them together with curiosity, not with judgment. The first pillar is, do I believe I am worthy? Worthy of kindness, worthy of rest, worthy of being chosen, worthy of success, worthy of being forgiven, worthy of starting again. When your core belief is, I am not really worthy, you will unconsciously push away good things. You might delay sending the application. You might undercharge for your work. You might choose partners who treat you poorly. You might downplay your wins and emphasize your failures. It's not that you don't want good. It's that part of you is frightened to receive it. It thinks, if I let this in, they will see I don't really deserve it, and then losing it will hurt even more. So you stay just a little below your own potential. You stay in relationships and jobs and patterns that fit your low opinion of yourself. And life says, yes, if that's who you believe you are, I will keep arranging experiences that match it. It can be very painful to notice this, so I want you to be very gentle here. You are not at fault for the beliefs you picked up as a child. You were told things. You were shown things. Perhaps you were treated as if your needs did not matter. Perhaps you were made to feel you had to earn every scrap of affection. Those experiences planted seeds. Now, as an adult, you are not to blame for having the seeds, but you are powerful enough to decide which ones you will water. Every time you replace "I don't deserve" with "I am learning that I deserve," you are changing the soil of your life. The second pillar is, do I believe the world can be safe enough for me to open? If secretly your belief is, the world is hostile, people will always hurt me, something terrible is just around the corner, then of course you will hesitate. You will feel anxious in new situations. You will expect betrayal. You may turn down opportunities because your mind can only see the danger, not the possibility. You may cling to what you know, even if it hurts, because at least it is familiar. This doesn't mean the world has always been gentle to you. It may not have been. But if your nervous system is living in constant danger mode, clarity will be very difficult. How can you hear your inner guidance if every new direction feels like a threat? We are not trying to convince you that everything is perfect and nobody ever disappoints. That would be another lie. We are simply inviting in a more balanced belief. The world contains risk, yes, but it also contains support. There are dangers and there are helpers. I can learn to navigate. I can find safe enough places and safe enough people. When you begin to hold even a small version of this belief, something inside you softens. You stop scanning only for enemies and start noticing allies. You stop assuming that every no means you are worthless. and start seeing that sometimes it means not this way, not this time. Safety, in this sense, is not an absolute guarantee that nothing bad will ever happen again. It is the inner knowing, whatever comes, I can handle it. I can seek support. I am not entirely helpless. The third pillar is, do I believe I can trust myself? This one is huge. If underneath everything you hold the belief, I always mess things up, I can't trust my judgment, I always choose wrong, then every decision will feel terrifying. You will stall and delay, asking everyone else what you should do, hoping someone will save you from responsibility. Or you will make a choice and then torture yourself for it, replaying, regretting, doubting, tearing yourself down. In this climate, of course, motivation feels weak. Why would you want to move if you're convinced that every step you take is doomed? But what if you begin to shift this, even a little, into, I am learning to trust myself. I don't have to be perfect to be trustworthy. I can make mistakes and still be on my path. Trusting yourself does not mean you will never feel fear or that you will never look back and adjust. It doesn't mean you must know everything in advance. It means you stop treating every misstep as a verdict on your worth. You begin to see your life as a conversation, not a test. You say, I will make the best choice I can with the information I have. If I need to change course later, that is allowed. When you hold this belief, you free up enormous energy. You don't have to use it all to punish yourself anymore. You can use it to experiment, to learn, to try things. And as you collect experiences of surviving, of adjusting, of growing, your self-trust deepens. Life then responds to someone who is willing to move, not someone frozen in terror. Do you see, my love, how these three beliefs about your worth, about the world's basic safety, about your own trustworthiness, are like lenses in a pair of glasses? If those lenses are cloudy with, I'm not enough, it's never safe, I always fail, then no matter what you look at, it will seem frightening and hopeless. You might call this reality, but really, it's reality filtered through old pain. When you gently clean those lenses with new beliefs, I am learning, I am worthy, I am open to a kinder world, I am building trust with myself, the same world can begin to look very different. You don't change everything out there first. You change the way you meet it. You may be thinking, but Louise, I don't feel motivated. I know what I want to do, but I can't make myself do it. And I want to tell you a secret. You do not have a motivation problem. You have a belief problem. If deep down you think you are unworthy, unsafe, and untrustworthy, your mind will block you from moving forward. It will say, why bother? You'll ruin it anyway. It's dangerous to try. If you succeed, they will only take it away. Your lack of energy is not laziness. It is self-protection. Your system is trying to keep you from walking into what it believes is certain pain. The answer is not to yell at yourself for being unmotivated. The answer is to give yourself new beliefs to stand on. Motivation rests on the foundation of what you think is possible and allowed for you. So how do we begin? Very gently. You don't need to force yourself to shout, I am perfect and rich and loved. If that makes your body recoil, start where you are. If I am worthy feels too far, say, I am willing to discover that I might be worthy. If the world is safe feels untrue, say, I am open to finding pockets of safety and support. If I trust myself feels like a lie, say, I am learning to trust myself, one small choice at a time. The universe hears these too. Your mind hears them, your nervous system hears them, and over time, those sentences become the new commands you are sending out. Remember, my dear, life often confirms your beliefs more than your wishes. That might sound discouraging, but it is actually wonderful news because you can choose your beliefs. Not all at once, not overnight, but thought by thought, day by day. The moment you start to examine these core assumptions, you step out of the role of victim of fate and into the role of conscious creator. You can say, ah, I see. I've been living from I am not worthy. No wonder I keep rejecting good things. I choose a new belief now. I choose to practice. I am worthy of respect, of rest, of kindness. And then you back that belief with small aligned actions. You go to bed on time. You answer messages with boundaries. You apply for something you only used to dream about. In the infinity of life where you are supported in changing your mind. You are not stuck with the old commands. You are not doomed to repeat the same patterns. As you soften into new beliefs about yourself, about the world, about your capacity, life will begin to say yes to those too. Not because you are lucky, not because you are special and others are not, but because you are aligning what you expect with what love has always known about you. You are worthy. You are held. You are capable of more than you have been taught to believe. You don't have to fix all your beliefs today. Just become curious. Ask yourself, what is life currently confirming for me? What must I be believing for this to feel normal? And then, with great kindness, choose one new belief to practice this week. One sentence, one lens, one gentle yes to a higher view of yourself. Life will hear you. Your heart will hear you. And step by step, your experience will begin to reflect the new truth you are brave enough to hold. Sweetheart, I know you've been taught your whole life to chase success, as if it were some shining object out there in the distance, a job title, a number in your bank account, a relationship that looks perfect from the outside. But I want to say something very clearly to you. Success is not the destination. It is the side effect of living in a way that is true to who you really are. When you stop running after what the world calls success and start pursuing your own positive vibration, your own aligned energy, something remarkable happens. You stop leaking power. You stop constantly negotiating against yourself. You stop waking up already at war with your day. And when that inner war quiets, your energy rises, your decisions become clearer, and yes, opportunities begin to respond to you in a different way. Not because you are suddenly more worthy, but because you are no longer betraying yourself to get where you think you're supposed to be. Think of it this way. When you live your values, your whole system is less divided. If honesty is important to you and you stop pretending, your energy increases because you're not holding up 10 masks. If health matters to you and you treat your body with more kindness, your energy increases because you are not constantly recovering from self-neglect. If creativity, service, growth matter to you and you give them some space each day, your energy increases because life is finally allowed to move through you instead of being blocked. You become magnetic, not by forcing yourself to shine, but by removing the places where you dim yourself. From this place, Success, whatever that means to you, starts to look less like a finish line and more like a natural outcome of being in integrity with your own soul. How do you know when you're vibrating in a way that fits you? You won't always feel comfortable, but you will usually feel truer. One of the signs you are on the right track is that even if you still have to work hard, there is a subtle sense of lightness, a feeling of, this is effortful, but it's meaningful. You may still get tired, but you don't feel like you are constantly betraying yourself. There is less self-torture in your head, less replaying every conversation, less apologizing for taking up space. You feel just a little bit more like you, even if nobody else sees it yet. By contrast, the wrong direction has its own very clear signals, a chronic exhaustion that no weekend can fix, the need to perform a role instead of simply being, the constant urge to prove, impress, or defend yourself. If you notice that your life is made up of long-term depletion, endless acting, and a never-ending need to justify your existence, then, my love, it may not be that you are failing. It may be that you are walking someone else's path. I want to make this very practical for you. So let's turn this into a gentle 7-day pursue yourself challenge. Not to pressure you, but to give you a way to embody all of this. For the next 7 days, you will take one small conscious step each day, not toward someone else's definition of success, but toward your own clarity. Day 1, choose one small area, a desk, a drawer, a corner of your room, and clear it. As you do, imagine you are creating space outside to mirror the space you want inside. You are saying, I make room for me. Day 2, spend 20 minutes reading or writing something that feeds your mind and heart. No scrolling, no multitasking. You are training your mind to focus on what nourishes it. Day 3, practice saying no to one thing that drains you, a request, a habit, a conversation. You don't have to be dramatic. Just pick one small no that honors your energy. Day 4, do one thing that supports your body, a walk, a stretch, a wholesome meal, an early bedtime. Tell your body, you matter to me. Day 5, take one task you've been putting off and complete it. Feel what it's like when you show up for yourself instead of delaying your own relief. Day 6, give yourself 30 minutes with no social media, no outside noise. Let your nervous system feel who you are without constant input. Day 7, sit down with pen and paper and write, my core values are, and list 3 words that truly feel like you when you are at your best. Perhaps kindness, honesty, creativity, freedom, growth, love. These are the stars you will navigate by. None of these steps are huge. None require a perfect mood. But together they send a powerful message to your subconscious. I am pursuing my own alignment now. I am coming back to me. To anchor this energy, I want to offer you a few affirmations you can repeat each morning, each night, or whenever you need to remember your direction. Let them be soft reminders, not rigid demands. I come back to myself. I choose the kind of hard that matches my values. I trust the voice within me. I am worthy of good things. I follow the positive vibration of my true self. When I choose me, everything becomes clearer. Say them slowly. Feel them in your body. If you don't fully believe them yet, that's all right. You can begin with, I am willing to come back to myself, or I am learning to trust the voice within me. Remember, it's only a thought, and a thought can be changed. What matters is that, day after day, you are replacing the old script, I must abandon myself to succeed, with a new one. I can succeed precisely because I am no longer abandoning myself. As we close, I want you to hear this. You do not have to find the whole path today. You do not need the 5-year plan, the complete map, the guarantee that you will never be hurt again. You only need one honest step that is true for you right now. Ask yourself, gently, what is one small thing I can do today that honors my values, my energy, my truth? Then do that one thing. Tomorrow, ask again. This is how clarity unfolds, not as a sudden lightning bolt, but as a series of loving choices in your own favor. The day you stop chasing someone else's life and begin to pursue your own heart, your own vibration, your own truth, that is the day the road begins to straighten. That is the day people, places, and opportunities that match you start to appear, because you are finally showing them who you really are. You are not behind, you are not broken. You are on your way back to yourself. Life loves you, and so do I. And as you dare to choose you again and again, you will see. The moment you pursue yourself, everything else quietly begins to fall into place.